This is Chapter 26A, Enemy Unseen. Welcome back to TearRing Saga. Now, unfortunately, this old save file that I'm using, it's already after all of the cutscenes that you see before this chapter, which are slightly different. Like, Lenzenheimer talks about how they're luring Runen into a trap as he goes through the city to reach his castle. So, map 26A is a town map rather than a castle map, and an indoor map. And here's Roselia Castle. We can't see any of the enemies at all on the preparation screen. So you have no, idea where they are, and you're just gonna have to deploy your army in the dark, which is what you always have to do because if you can't see where the deployment slots go. But anyway, I am actually using my test file for this. And the reason for that is, you're going to be seeing a few characters here that you won't have seen otherwise. So, here is Rebecca, and she's got a golem and ogre staff. Here is Lionel. Lionel is a promoted sergeant, including having the Dull Harken, and a very limited use Pilum. And yeah, look at these skills here. Nile, Wrath, I gave him Frontiersman on Holmes' route. Urbanite's going to be great here. He has 7 move here. And a trained Julia, too. So, she's going to be who I take down Lenzenheimer with. She's not very significantly trained, but she'll still be able to fight him decently well. Raquel is here, too. Oh, wow, I have Leonie as a level 20 sniper already? Part of me, and with 8 movement, because I got lucky with her growth, part of me doesn't want to use her here, though, because I kind of want to show her off on my main playthrough. Oh, and I also train. Wow, Vega has less strength, but he has way more skill and speed on this route. And, yeah, there's Raffin. And here's Rochelle. He's a little lower leveled, and he doesn't have, Oh, yeah, here's the Reeve Codex, which I didn't get on the, other playthrough. The only reason I'm doing this is because it raises the magic growth. But, yeah, here's Rochelle. He doesn't have Sylphid, though, which is unfortunate, because I only got 1 copy of that on this route. And, yeah, Muriel, I guess I could bring her for Aura Rain. And here's LUCA. I don't need to deploy him to this map, but he'll have a job to do at the very end. Oh yeah, and Sasha's a Wyvern Knight on this route, even though it's, objectively worse. Yeah, look at that magic stat, but she has better strength, I guess. And yeah, I believe her level cap goes all the way up to 40, unlike my other route. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I will actually not bring Leonie. I'm going to be using Chryse and Arcus here because they need to be here to recruit someone. In this map, they're recruited from a village. I believe it's this village right there. Also, Runen's a lot stronger on this file. And let's move out. So, the gimmick of this map is very bizarre. And we'll be seeing it once we start moving in here. Yeah, Julia looks really cool when promoted, unlike Vega, who barely changes at all. She's standing beside Runen, by the way. At least with Eugen's limited tactical prowess, he's still able to realize an obvious trap when he sees one. You mustn't be careless, as Dunban would say. Oh, poor little Runen. I can only imagine the look on his face right now. Well, Zeke shows up in this map? I forgot that he shows up here. Ah, Sir Zeke. I've been waiting for you. You said you had Shadow Knights stationed at Reeve Palace who would come to our aid, but they haven't arrived yet. What is going on at the capital? Wait, you're abandoning me? Okay, so more, background on Senate's rebellion at the moment. But I can't fight off Runen's massive army on my own. It's suicide! Wow. Nice one. I completely forgot about this. You actually get some more moments with Zeke on in this version of events. Yeah, there are some Shadow Knight reinforcements here. So he does leave a few behind. And actually explaining where he got that sword this time. Nice burn, Zeke. Zeke. Holy crap, Zeke is just brutal right now. I mean, he is, you know, when he's on our side, so that's understandable. Oh, actually, maybe it's that house that you need to... Yeah, it's this house. So, in this version, Lena is recruited via a village. So it's not like there are exclusive characters on each version of the chapter. But Lena does get less of a support with Arcus out of this version of the map, as I've said before. Be the good girl you always have to be and let the knights handle the dangerous bits. Yes, I'm almost a knight too, with a 10% strength and defense growth. I mean, if it weren't for that, she might have been kind of a fun est option, but it's just like, yeah. I don't know why they thought that was like... I guess they wanted to make her a gimmick and have her, you know, be like the really high movement unit who takes out weakened enemies or something, but... Yeah, as this guy says, she's not even close to being combat ready. Well, the good thing is that Arcus is with us right now, so we don't need to worry about Lenzenheim doing anything to him. So yeah, this is pretty much blatantly hinting that you need to use Christ to recruit her. And yes, Christ and Arcus should both be able to get into that house, and I'll probably show that before I start talking about the chapter itself, because as you can see, the only enemies on the map the only enemy on the map is Lenzenheimer himself. So they said Christ, but I think Arcus also works. Yes, by fighting in, we mean just sitting on the bench and never being used. Well, being used a little bit in the early game, at least. I really, really hope that Tola did not mean what it meant in the Japanese version in Chapter 15, please. Yes, that's not creepy at all. Like, to be honest, this whole situation's actually really kind of, like, horrifying for Arcus. Like, yeah, when you think about it. I mean, there's only so many 10% strength growth jokes that I can make, so I'm just going to stop now. I mean, she's not going to slow us down, because her movement is ridiculous, but that's the only good thing about her. doesn't let just anyone. Well, I mean, he actually recruited Zeke, and look how that turned out. Oh, yes, Arcus is a fine knight who's capable of protecting anyone, yeah. And it's not going to work on this route, because on this route, yeah, he has less of a support with her. And Lena's ending is different as well, if you take the A route. So, yeah, that recruits her, but now I'm going to show the Christ version. And Christ isn't... Oh, I can't show the Christ version yet. Oh, well. Yeah, Christ isn't trained on this path because he, I'm not going for the Latina event. Well, obviously I'm not because you can see Rebecca's, here. I'm not used to the slower animations, actually. So some of these houses give you items, but not all of them do. But everyone here is just... This is, like, honestly, this is actually kind of a wholesome chapter if you just... like, want some, you know, nice encouragement, because everyone here is just completely in favor of your army. They all hate Lenzenheimer, and, like, they're all just cheering you on. It's just pretty cool. Like, you've got just these villagers who are just unanimously supportive of your cause. But they did say, he's got marksmen waiting in the bushes to ambush us. On the enemy phase, you're gonna see the gimmick of this map. And it is an incredibly annoying gimmick. But, and in order to fully demonstrate this gimmick, I am going to summon some golems. Kind of imagining, like, the road itself just rising up and forming into these things. That'd be cool. But, okay, none of them were Stoneborn, just Earthborn. And they were pretty low level, too. I think, like, the level of summons that come out is based on the summoner's level. I think there are some different, like, factors to it as well. But, and then in multiplayer, there are other unique factors to it. So, Flyers kind of might want to dismount, as well when they're going through here. Because there are a bunch of catapults on the enemy side as well. Ah yes, the mythical Lord Rudin. If you look directly at him, it may burn your eyes. Oh, okay, is this the thing? Okay, this is actually one thing that makes me kind of like... Okay, it's debatable whether or not, like, the +3 movement potion is probably better than this. But if this is what I think it is... well, give it to Lord Ruin. No, he can't use it. He can't use lances. Oh, you're not even going to say that. That's cool. I mean, it would be kind of cool if his promoter class could use both swords and lances on foot, but no. We get a Brave Lance from this. So, yeah, again, I said that Chapter 26B is arguably more rewarding than 26A. The Brave Lance is the reason for the arguably, because that's a very, very good item to get. But whether it's worth giving up the movement potion for, that's debatable. Now, I'm actually going to put Rochelle here just to test something. And equip Sunflame, of course. And now, Lionel, I suppose, can go over here. There's a lot of visiting houses in this map. Oh look, it's a palette swap of Mince's ex-girlfriend. I wonder if we should know about the ways that you have of dodging those taxes. Nothing illegal, I hope. Well, I mean, you know, Lenzenheimer's doing illegal stuff anyway, so I suppose it fits. And yeah, we get a money bag. It's like, wow, that's not a lot of taxes she's dodged. Like 3,000 to 4,000, 2,000 to 4,000 gold. Not a whole lot, but anyway, let's just have Julia visit this one. I think, like, the ones with these roofs don't give you items. But, I mean, I might just be dumb, and maybe the Brave Lance one had, this roof on it. Okay, no, I'm wrong. These ones give you items too. It's just kind of vary which ones do. Greatest gift I can offer to Lord Runin's cause. Okay, what is this? Really? Yeah. So most of the items in this chapter are kind of lame, but that one is actually pretty But yeah, it's really just the Brave Lance that's the really good one. I mean, I think there's like there's a promotion item, I think, somewhere, but anyway. I suppose Mince can rush in and try and visit this house. Oh yes, and the one that gave me the Brave Lance did have that triangular roof, so obviously I was dumb the whole time. Yeah, they realize our suffering too. It's just really nice. I love just having all these villagers be so supportive of us. And some funds. So this makes a little bit more sense. Just everyone, you know, pulling together money. Yeah, which way should Raphael go? I don't know. I think I'll send Raphael down the lower path. Oh yeah, you do have to be pretty careful of Runin here. Because of, well, you'll see. Yeah. You might want to stay away from these areas. And as you can see, there's no terrain indicator at all for here. And for here as well. So that is kind of for the same reason that there's no terrain indicator in the room in Chapter 26B. But again, we'll go into that later. Just a little bit more. I mean, actually, Raffin's already down there. We don't really have many people covering the top part, and unfortunately, she's also going to dismount because of reasons. I suppose... Oh, she still has 4 move as a dismounted Wyvern Knight, which is a pain. But anyway... So, when we end our turn... the Golem's going to move. After the Golem's move, things are going to begin to happen. Here is the gimmick of this map. Invisible enemies that you cannot see or really attack on the player phase. You have to get, like, really lucky and hope they get into a range where you can counter them. And usually they won't because they have Arbalests. There are also catapults in there, invisible catapults. Yep, here's one now, an invisible arrow spate. Like, you have no way of knowing where these are, and you cannot target them. Unless you... I mean, she's probably gonna die, actually. Okay, she dodged. Yeah. You cannot target them, unless they get dumb and you can counter them. It's real, and then reinforcements spill out of here to kind of stall you as the invisible enemies, just sort of wail on you. It's a really, really frustrating map gimmick, because there's really not a lot that you can do about it. And, yeah, Raquel has to not die here, too. So I can try and show Kreis, oh, Kreis didn't even take much damage there. Kreis's version of the recruitment event here. I don't think this conversation is as long as the Arcus version, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, this is Kreis's grandfather. Unfortunately, on this route, Kreis is not going to be able to give this guy great-grandkids one day, because we didn't get Latina. And she's Kreis's only romance option. So he ends up single if you didn't do her full events. At least we get a nice interaction between these two. I still think she looks more like she should be Arcus's sister, though. Unless, like, because she has, like, green hair and Arcus is a red knight, unless, like their parents were, like, a pro-Stully couple, and, like, their parents were red and green knights, and that's why they have children who are also red and green knights. Lena is basically a green knight in training, though one to a ridiculous extreme, having very, very good skill and speed and movement, but her strength is extremely beyond awful. I promise I wouldn't make any more jokes about that. Oh, okay, so she was training with an old man. That would explain why her strength growth is 10%. I'm sorry. They just keep coming to me. It's just a 10% strength growth is a gift that keeps on giving for comedy. These CDI games have meant that I can never take the phrase "my boy" seriously anymore. Yes, and never run into a castle and get yourself captured, like what happened in an alternate universe. Okay, so with that, we've seen both versions of Lena's recruitment on this route, and, 7 attack. Yeah, I mean, at the very least, she starts mounted if you recruit her this way. Can she? Oh, she can talk to Arcus. Is their talk any different to... I'm just gonna go through this. Okay, so it is a little different. Sorry if I'm going through this dialogue a bit quickly. It's just we've already seen, like, a lot of dialogue here, and I want to get to the actual chapter. Oh, she definitely can. Well, even galloping sound effects there. Don't even know if Lord Runan approved it or not, but, okay, I'm gonna have Rochelle go down here. I don't know if this one actually gives, you something, because this will let Sasha go a little bit further forward. So, yeah, fully explaining the gimmick here, experts in concealment. They're probably doing that Kirby Archer power-up thing, where they're holding up just a cardboard tree. Yeah, the only way to kill them was with counterattacks, and even then, a lot of them have arbalests, and the only way to counter an arbalest is with another arbalest. Yeah, longbow, sorry, that can't counter an arbalest, because they will always attack from their maximum range if they can, so yeah, there's really... Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about these guys, and also, like, ballistas, you can't really counter ballistas, so it's just... It's kind of a dumb chapter, honestly, and as annoying as the gimmicks are in Chapter 26B, it really says something that I would rather play 26B than this chapter. Yeah, this guy is recommending simply avoiding them. Nope, that bow will not do the trick. It's kind of a shame, like, they try and give you ways to get around the gimmick, but it's just not good enough, because they're all arbalests. In fact, in a way, I actually wish that they weren't armorless. Also, yeah, there's a ruffian here, so I think he can destroy some of the houses, but we've already visited most of them by now. Yeah, it's just kind of frustrating like that. I'm gonna get Lionel all the way over there, and then I think I'm gonna summon even more golems, though I do need to heal Raquel. Vega should be able to quite handily tank the enemies here, and because this is, like, not my main file, I can fully afford to just use up all of my good weapons. And yeah, this is why I didn't want to have Raffen mount, because if he did, then he'd be at risk of getting shot by these guys and the catapults and all of that jazz. I suppose I can equip the Silver Axe for now. Okay, you go a little further, because you're an 8-move cavalry class. I suppose I'll just see if I'm... Okay, firstly, I'll check what's in the vendor, because there are a few shops here. There's also a secret shop on this map, which is not in the A version. Okay, just Smith's hammers. Okay, am I feeling lucky? Let's see. And no! Got about 100 gold less than I normally would get out of that. Now, yeah, you do have to be careful of Runan. The problem is, it's actually kind of inevitable that Runan's going to have to take some hits here. You may actually want to give him some some shields. But he can actually pull stuff out of the convoy. Do I have any shields in my convoy? Do I? I have all of these items from the, I only have one shield. But I can use the Dragon Potion to buff his defense. And I probably should move Raquel out of the way, because she is definitely, like, dying a lot. But at the same time, I kind of want her to get to Lenzenheimer, because I really want Julia to beat him, and it might be hard without Raquel's assistance there. Okay, you do have N-Herb, which I can use just in case things get dicey. Yeah, so overall, like, if I don't have, like, a whole ton to... Oh, Ogres have 4 movement as well, so, I mean, that's better than 3, so I suppose I should summon Ogres. Ogres are easy to kill, too, so maybe that'll make it more likely for the ballistas to target them. So yes, let's send in some mean green Ogres. And, try and... I hope Christ is fine. I think there are actually some mages in the gorilla areas too. Makes it sound like I'm meaning gorilla the animal, but no. Same pronunciation, different spelling. But I feel like there are actually mages in there. Like, you think that the villagers would give you an arbalest or something, but, I mean, that'd probably be too valuable. And here come the golems. Actually, maybe I should I have healed the golem that took a crit? Because golems are actually pretty effective here in terms of, tanking the enemy shots. Like that. Well, the golem just died. Oh well. I say they're good at tanking and they immediately just die. Yeah, your hit rates are a lot better than the Arbalesters in the other Lenzenheimer map, and that worries me. Is my army just weaker on this route, or... I don't know. Well, that's nice. This is another map where often I just like... Yeah, I knew it, there was a Meteor. It has a Meteor too. That is insanely annoying. Please don't let there be another Arbalest guy in the wings. Like, I'm half tempted to just... Like, because this isn't the main file, I'm half tempted to just kind of let people die here. Like, if it comes to it, because it's just... it feels bad, like I'm not really taking this chapter seriously. Wow, your animation is slow when I've got the regular map movement on, but it's just that, like, I just don't like this chapter overall. Okay, I was about to say, oh, it's probably my least favorite chapter in the game, and then I realized, oh, of course it isn't, because chapter 16 exists, but, this chapter's at least avoidable, so there's that. And again, it really says something that I would rather play 26B, because 26B has its fair share of annoying gimmicks. Oh, don't kill me, please. Ooh, that's not good. Yeah, don't underestimate the stone hoists. They do actually hit pretty hard, and they hit you more often than you'd expect. Wow, yeah, they do that much damage to essentially monster armor knights. And yeah, reinforcements will keep spooling out there. So basically the main tactic the enemy forces use here is that they basically try and keep you, like, choke pointed in these alleyways. I guess I can show, like, the full... Oh, this map looks horrible on the map screen, but you get the idea. They sort of like to try and keep you choke pointed to make sure that you have to endure as many attacks from the invisible army as possible. So... yeah, this is a really weird and honestly just kind of an annoying map. Like, it's almost like the Wooden Cavalry in Shadow Dragon, except worse, because there you can actually, main Gauche is probably a decent weapon to use here. I gave Julia one just in case she needs to use it to fight Vega, but even though it's like, not Vega, wow, Lenzenheimer, the guy who hired Vega. Can you even... No, you can't one-round that guy. Like I said at the start of this, she's trained, but she's not, like, really trained. Oh, you have a great lance. Anything I do is going to double you. Except Dolhaken. But, hey, this will be our first time seeing Lionel fight. So, here he is. He looks just like a palette-swapped, dismounted Bronze Paladin or Commando Knight. And probably has the same animations, too. I didn't even realize that when I was playing through my test run, but yeah. He can use swords, lances, and axes, though, and that's pretty cool. I don't know why he has that. I think he still has the Thunder Shield from Holmes' route. Because he was there... Oh, actually, of course he was there last time, because, like, you know, he has to be there. Because you can only recruit him on Holmes' route. So, like, if I can actually finish this map early with an early siege, I'm just going to go for it. I'm not even going to worry about getting a lot of experience, because it's just like it's a really annoying map, and I'd rather have it just over as soon as possible. So if I can get Runen, and he has Urbadine active because this is a town map. If I can get Runen over to Lenzenheimer, and yes, my main goal here is to show Julia's special defeat with Lenzenheimer. Hopefully it won't be Julia's defeat, it will be Lenzenheimer's defeat. Let's see, I have maximum avoid with this, and I'm going to W anyway, and I may as well do that, because there's not really much point in me using anything stronger. Got a lot of crit, though. I say that, and she immediately crits. So that means that Vega doesn't need to risk getting hit by a Devil Spear. And with Shram, he should obviously equip that, because he'll just stay here and tank things. The good news is that these reinforcements are not ambush spawns. He has a lot of crit. I don't know why he has this much crit right now. Is Shram... Oh no, Shram has 20 crit. I just feel like even with Shram, he had a lot less crit on my other file for some reason. Okay, gotta remember, Mince is in potential danger. Just wondering if... Oh, okay, yeah, this guy's it's probably better if I take this guy down with Raphael. Holy crap, that is a lot of damage in IW. Yeah, see, Raphael is just really pretty great in general. He doesn't have Canto, though. That is one of his few weaknesses. Oh, hey, level up. He's probably not going to gain much. Maybe gain skill. Mastery. I think he already has enough mastery to use pretty much everything relevant, so not really super important that he gain mastery, but still. I don't know if Raffin's going to one round. I don't think Raffin will one round. I really, really need to heal Mince, though. Do you have... Oh, you do have Physic. I kind of like to summon more monsters, but none of the ogres have died yet. So I can probably afford to do this. I guess we can see Rebecca's battle animations here. Again, another Lyria and Plum palette swap. You get a lot of clerics in this game, I just realized, and a lot of them have at least something kind of unique to them, which is pretty cool. And in terms of who else to heal, Christ is going to run the heck away. Get as far away from the danger zone as possible. Oh, I suppose we can continue to visit these houses. Yeah, I love how just hated by everyone that guy is. Almost like Excellus, but he predated him. Ah, yes, that tactic. It's not your fault that you got invaded and conquered, it's the fault of the person who failed to defend you. Okay, you do get a Smith's Hammer out of this chapter. And now this house. There's a lot of items here, not nearly as many gold bags as the other chapter though. Yes, this is why in the other version of events, you end up sneaking around and using the back way into the castle. It's a cool idea, and I suppose I could maybe... I'm just trying to think if now is the right time to go on a tangent about... I do not want Mince to get hit by a Devil Lance guy. and potentially 2 of them, and maybe even some guys down there in the same turn. Like, I would really like to take out that guy, but at the same time, maybe it's safer if I have Raffin. They both have the same amount of defense, though. Raffin does have a lot more HP. And he could potentially crit with the spear. But yeah, so, root splits. At the time this game was made, Kaga had only made one Fire Emblem game that had root splits in it. And that was, also just realized that Raffin has Vantage, so if he attacks Raffin, he just, he just gets killed anyway. Yeah, there only been one Fire Emblem game with root splits in it, so... Oh, I probably should have equipped the hand axe, but oh well. And that root split lasted for a few chapters, but in this one, we've got a root split and it only lasts for, like, it's only a single map. But it is just kind of interesting how root splits started out with Thracia, for just a split that lasted a few chapters, but not, like, a huge amount, and then it kind of escalated from there. Then FE6 had 2 root splits, that one of which was, like, only kind of minor differences, I suppose, in the Western Isles, and then you had the whole Saga versus Ilia split, which drastically changed the kind of maps you encountered, as well as the sort of storyline. You were liberating a different country, depending on which route you went on. And then Blazing Sword had Eliwood and Hector's routes, which had minor differences between the both of them. As well as a few chapters that changed. Like, it had actually some root splits like this, except they were a bit less guide-danged about how you got them. Rather than having to seize a particular castle, it was instead like whether the level gains of certain types of classes were, Oh yeah, there are invisible physic bishops as well, which you cannot do anything about at all, because you can't target them and they won't attack you, so, like, you can't counter them either. Yeah, don't you just love this? Don't you just love the gimmick of this chapter? Isn't this just a great gimmick? I'm sorry if I'm being, like, a little bit less enthused about this chapter, because, like, Chapter 26B, like, legitimately one of my favorite chapters in the game, and this chapter is just one of my absolute least favorite chapters in the game, just because it's, like, it's not even that hard, it's just needlessly annoying, and there really isn't, like, much way to counter this gimmick. You're kind of forced to just take a whole lot of hits that you can't really do much about. Oh, by the way, that's what, okay, so, like, she does look pretty much the same as she does Unpromoted. She just has a different outfit. Huh, attacking Vega, that's weird. I mean, you can do a little bit of damage to him, and he has more defense on my other file, but still. Oh, okay, that's because you don't die. But yeah, you had, like, Eliwood and Hector's roots in FE7, and then in Sacred Stones, you had Erica versus Ephraim's roots, which was probably the first time we saw root splits, like, because, like, Saga versus Ilia, you went through different environments, but you still pretty much had the same kind of story, depending on the root split, whereas in Sacred Stones, it didn't seem like it at first, but whether you went Erica or Ephraim's route, it did drastically change the later portions of the story, but to say more would be, I don't really want to, like, I'm pretty loose with Fire Emblem spoilers for the most part, but I don't want to spoil that thing of Sacred Stones just in case anyone hasn't played that, and I do think Sacred Stones, like, in hindsight, I think Sacred Stones actually has one of the better Fire Emblem stories. I would really appreciate Soul Vega, just saying. Like, a lot of people have reevaluated it, and, well, you're cap skill and speed now, which is cool. But, like, yeah, I actually do think that Sacred Stones has one of the better Fire Emblem stories. Well, I haven't heard the enemy phase theme go on for this long before. This particular enemy phase theme, I mean. And then we had Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn had absolutely no root splits or optional chapters in the slightest. They were kind of interesting in that regard. It's just like, Radiant Dawn had, like, over 40 chapters and all of them were required, which was something I actually liked about that game in a way. I mean, it did mean that it lost a little bit on replays, but at the same time, you also had, lol, you missed a golem. It also had the second playthrough features. And that one did not miss the golem. And then Awakening didn't really have any root splits either, but it did have a lot of paralogue chapters. A lot of paralogue chapters. Like, if you only count main chapters, Awakening has only, like, 20-something, but if you count Paralogs, Awakening is, I think, like, the most chapters in any Fire Emblem game, apart from, well, Fates, if you count everything as the same game, which a lot of people don't, and then Three Houses, but a lot of Three Houses chapters are the same as well. So yeah, then we go to Fate, and that's where they're like, oh hey, you know that root split thing? Let's take that to the next level and make completely different stories and stuff. And then Three Houses happened, and at the very least, like, I've said this in the comment section, but I haven't really said my piece on this. Okay, Julia is someone who I actually really don't want to die, so I've got to be a bit careful of her, but, I haven't actually said this in the video itself, so regarding Three Houses and root splits, I will say they definitely did grey morality a lot better than you know, what they were attempting to do with Fates. And yeah, the story was a lot better than Fates, and like the root splits were definitely better in that regard. At the same time though, when it came to Three Houses root splits, they reused a lot of the same maps, like, over and over again. Even the most unique route out of the paths, and I know the Three Houses are 2 years old, but I'm gonna be a little bit vague here about them. There's one route of Three Houses that is the most unique out of all of them, and it's also the shortest, so that's already 1 point against it in that regard, and it also still, I think, only has one unique map. So it's just like, most of the maps are reused. A lot of the routes follow the same general story beats. Like, while they are, you know, broadly better than Fates, they are still, like, a lot more, like, Fates at least tried to do something radically different with all of its routes, and for the most part, it did succeed. Like, the point that I'm getting at is, it's frustrating that Fates' routes were literally sold separately, but at the same time, they were genuinely different routes that all had different maps to them, for the most part. Like, even the maps that were reused were usually reused in interesting ways. Like, yeah, they had different maps to them, the characters who joined were totally different, like, even the gameplay style was very different between the different routes. Like, it really was like you were getting several different games. That's, like, kind of why I didn't really mind paying for all the different paths of Fates. Yeah, it was a pain to have to pay for, a lot to understand the full story of a game that, had a bad story to begin with. So that was, unfortunately, kind of, frustrating. I mean, at the very least, like, I do think that Three Houses in that regard is much better value for money. And it's definitely, like, an amazing value for money package overall. But what I'm trying to get at, though, with all of this is that I think they should maybe lay off the route splits in future Fire Emblem games. Because Fates and Three Houses both had issues that entirely came from simply having route splits in the first place. With Fates, it had the issue of the actual story being just generally badly written, because they had to write 3 different stories, and obviously nobody can do that in a good amount of time. So, like, the writing quality suffered heavily, but at the same time, the map design didn't. Well, I mean, you know, you could say Revelation had terrible map design, but anyway, I'm kind of ruining my point here. But, Three Houses, on the other hand, story was much better written. They did the grey morality that they aimed to do with Fates a lot better, but at the same time, the actual map design suffered, because now you have a whole lot of routes that just have basically the same kinds of maps. And it's just really just doing the same kind of stuff over and over. And there's also the problem of, like, yeah, I haven't really fully gone into this, but, like, I do think that one of Three Houses' biggest weaknesses, and it's part of why it's a game that's actually very hard for me to replay. Like, I did actually play all 3 routes. I kind of quit Golden Deer a little bit into it, because I'd already finished all of the other routes at that point, and I was just suffering massive burnout, and I was playing on Maddening, where enemies just take forever to die, and yeah, it just got a little bit too much, and I kind of wanted to stop. But part of the reason is the monastery. I think other people have already said this, like, before, but I kind of echo their opinions. The monastery is good on your first playthrough, but every other subsequent playthrough, it just does get really, really annoying to have to sit through like 3 weeks of monasteries just to get to the main story chapter. And yes, you can speed it up by resting, but then you lose out on faculty training, you lose out on meals to increase people's supports and increase people's motivation. So like, yeah, it's skippable, but at the same time, it's also... I mean, it's skippable, but at a cost. It's kind of like skipping Lynn's story in Fire Emblem 7. It's like, you can skip Lynn's story if you want to, but you just really don't want to, because everyone who joins in Lynn's story will lose out on a whole lot of experience if you do that. I don't think Vega's gonna die like this. Yeah, I'll heal him anyway. So, you get what I mean. When you are trying to design multiple distinct story paths in a game, something is going to be sacrificed. And even though I do think that overall Three Houses suffered less from that than Fates did. Ah, Julia can't reach next turn. I still think that Three Houses did suffer to some extent. And even story quality, like, I still think the story is great, but there's one route in Three Houses that was very obviously rushed, and it really shows. And that's just the thing. I don't want to see that in another Fire Emblem game. But because Three Houses and Fates, like, you know, people like to say that Fates, like, that Nintendo wants to forget that Fates existed. It's just, sometimes when you see a lot of negative opinions on a game online, it can be hard to remember that they're actually a vocal minority most of the time. It happened with Shadow Dragon as well. Like, back when Shadow Dragon first came out, and like, a lot of people just didn't like it for a lot of reasons, there were a lot of people saying, oh, Shadow Dragon is the reason why Fire Emblem is dying in the West, and they want to just ignore it and pretend that it didn't exist. Like, actually, Shadow Dragon sold reasonably well and actually got good reviews. And Fates is the same. Like, Fates was actually very successful in terms of sales. And then Three Houses was even more successful, and the Grey and Grey morality was very well received, and because of that, I get the feeling that they're probably gonna keep doing multiple storylines and route splits in Fire Emblem from now on. And it's just something that, like, honestly, what I know I'm just one fan, I'm kind of just using my own, I'm just kind of being arrogant here and going like, oh, they should only listen to me and stuff. I mean, not really, but this is just my personal dream. My personal dream for the next Fire Emblem is... get Three Houses writers. No route splits. Write one story, and write it well. No route splits, just one story, one set of maps, design them really well. In fact, like, my perfect Fire Emblem game would be Fates Conquest map design, apart from the Realma chapter, and Three Houses writers. Wow, oh, yeah, you're a unique sprite because you, that was, I should not have given you the member key. Well, I mean, I can just flash up on screen what that shows. I just kind of, yeah, it's not really necessary for me to actually show the shop itself. I feel bad that I haven't actually used Lionel as much as I really should have, but, I just put him on the path that didn't really have a lot of fighting. But yeah, anyway, that's just my 2 cents on the whole issue, so my tangent about route splits in Fire Emblem, I don't really, like, this is another cool thing about Lionel too, is that he gets a lot of defense, even though his defense growth isn't actually that good, but it's good by this game's standards, and he's pretty tanky, and he also has a lot of movement and uses more weapon types than a general, so yeah, kind of dumb that way. But regardless, I'm gonna see if I can have Julia take you down with the Armor Slayer. I think she'll be able to do it. But yeah, I personally just would like to see no more route splits and just want them and just have them do one story and just do it well. But that's just me. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who like route splits, and I mean, honestly, I actually quite like the route split in Sacred Stones. I thought it was actually interesting how It really, really surprised me the first time I played that game, because I played Erica's route first, like most people do, and like I just played through that version of the story and just got to the end. Then I went, okay, I'm going to replay the game and play Ephraim's route, and I do that, and then it's like, oh yeah, we got some new chapters with Ephraim, but then afterwards everything's just going to be the same, right? And then I find out that the game is actually like the story changes a lot on Ephraim's route in the last act of the game, and I was not expecting that, and that was really interesting. Like, the maps are similar, and the actual, like, basic storyline is pretty much like, the way that certain aspects of the story unfold is the same, but, let's just say that there are some pretty major differences on Ephraim's route, and also, yeah, these guys are talking about how, yeah, actually Kanan was ruling these guys better than Lenzenheimer was. But, okay, this is the one guy who isn't, like, super, enthused with Runen. I'm actually glad that I didn't miss this village. But, yeah, as has been mentioned in the story before, so, yeah, Reeve was not particularly good of a kingdom beforehand. Like, yeah, that old king was really corrupt, and he was part of, the ones who locked, Enter in the monastery for most of her life. But at least we get an item out of that, so we get the Miracle Charm from that, and we should be able to finish this map on the next turn, assuming that nothing horrible happens out of the blue. So yeah, I went on a, as Rochelle would say, we got on a tangent there. Well, it's only been 5 turns? It feels like it's been much longer. I guess because we had practically like 20 minutes of conversation at the start because of Lena and things like that. Once you get past all of the invisible enemies, the chapter isn't really that bad. And I admit that it's an interesting strategy trying to like fence you in and choke point. Like, it's normally you're the one who choke points in these games, but here the enemy is trying to choke point you. And just force you to endure as many of these long-range attacks as possible. I just wish that you could see them. And I wish that you had some way of getting to them, maybe. Like, it's just kind of annoying that they're untargetable and invisible. Why did you heal? I'm really... what? Oh, you're on a house, that's why you healed. Are you blocking me from... or did I already visit that? I'm not sure if I already visited that. If I didn't, then I'm sorry, but, anyway. My plan here is to have Raquel, take Lenzenheimer down to 1 HP. I almost called him Renshin. And yeah, we do get a Hero's Crest here. So there are actually some decent items you can get. You get a Knight Crest in the other one and a Hero Crest in this one. There's a lot of decent village conversations in this map. And there it is, Hero Crest. I don't really think I need that, but anyway, let's take Lenzenheimer down again. I'm so glad that there's an alternate version of this chapter, because it means that I get to beat this guy twice. And Julia's version of the Lenzenheimer event is possibly even more satisfying than the Vega version. Okay, yeah, so he has the exact same boss quote as the other chapter. And yep, there he is, down to 1 HP. And this is going to be the last person that Raquel spares. In fact, I actually need to save state right now. Because the event that's going to happen at the end of this chapter with Raquel and LUCA, it has a choice in it. And both choices, like, both options are kind of interesting. So, yeah, saving now. And now, the main events. Wow, good use for a one-use killing edge. Okay, wow, that was great. Breaking the sword against him, too. That must have been really painful. So in this version, he actually is directly giving the liquid to her in exchange for, his safety. Yeah, in this version, like this kind of thing is honestly sometimes even more satisfying to see. Like, when the villain is just so pathetic and no longer a threat that the main characters just decide to let them live, just... So like I said, I actually find that one even more satisfying than the Vega version. He tries to get a cheap shot on her by pulling an I surrender suckers, and then she just... nope, and then, yeah, just dead. So, yeah, that ends Lenzenheimer, and usually the end of this chapter is pretty much the same as it is on the B route. However, if you have LUCA and Raquel in Ruden's army, this happens. I forget if this happens in the B route. Some people, like some guides have said that this is actually exclusive to the A version of Chapter 26, and if it is, then that's kind of weird. And so I've been looking forward to this so much. So few people recruit LUCA that this event wasn't properly tested in the patch and there's still Japanese text in it. I just think that that's just absolutely perfect. So I believe that if you choose the top option, like touchy, I think that's like attack or don't attack. I forget which option does which. Okay, so I think it's the top option that's the less interesting one. So if you choose the top option, this option is really, really bad. Raquel leaves. And you cannot get her back. She is gone from the army forever. Okay, yeah, this dialogue is pretty much the same. So I'm going to reload and show the other variants. Now to choose the bottom option. So, you are seeing this right. This event, that is the one good thing that LUCA contributes to the army by being picked, that lets Raquel kill human enemies, this event kills LUCA! That is completely scripted! LUCA will die! No matter how good he's trained, it is scripted. Yep, he's gone. LUCA's only good thing that he ever does is dying to make another character better. At this point, I am utterly convinced that, maybe Kaga based LUCA on somebody that he hated. Because there is no other reason why LUCA would be treated this badly. So I want to say this, though. LUCA can be revived with the Duck Rod, so it will not ruin a perfect survival run if you do this event. So don't worry about that. You can bring him back, but, it's still just, like, So, to all those who are blind in this game, who are seeing it for the first time, yeah, that is why I picked LUCA on my practice run, because I wanted to show all of you that event. And that LUCA is not only a bad archer that you have to pick and give up Narron or Lee for early, but his only meaningful contribution in the entire game is to get himself killed. And on that note, I will leave you. We'll be going back to homes for real next time. So, until then, LUCA gets revived on screen, don't worry, I'm not going to treat him as dead, but still, yeah, so, until then, I will just say, poor LUCA. Seriously. Melia has nothing on LUCA.